not being hit reliant doesn't mean not also wanting to have the biggest record possible.
Okay.
You know, so I think of, you know, some different clients of ours, like, I think Kess, you know, Kess the band, Soca artist, is not hit reliant. Puts out a lot of big songs that do really well, but people aren't like, oh, Kess's song didn't do really well or this or that. But it exists in a space where it can get radio play in certain markets. You can start, you know, getting into new lanes and growing and this and that, and it has hit potential. But there's a core, like it's really about, is there a core that's going to listen to your song and be excited for it no matter what's going on? I think Collie Buddz is another example of that, where not hit reliant, but he also can make hits. Like you have a consistent thing, you're growing. He had a record called Love and Reggae that dropped in 2018. Big song, one of the biggest songs in Kenya, Trinidad, Costa Rica, throughout the, you know, big song in the US, like, you know, it's streaming better than, you know, basically it's streaming better than Come Around is now.
Wow.
Big song, you know? And if you are consistently building your fan base and you're consistently taking those shots on goal to grow your core, then when you do have a song that has hit potential, your odds of it becoming a hit are way greater, because that first outer ring of people, that first inner ring of people is gonna listen to it. It's wider, and there's a bigger ring of people. And I think the Soca space has done that in a lot of ways, because it's so live oriented too, and it's so built around this carnival season and this time that everyone is so excited about. Everyone in Trinidad leading up to the season, it's like everyone is so pumped.
Like the entire country.
The entire country
seems to
people
be
are flying
in one
in.
accord,
Like it's that's where I'm going after this. I'm going to Trinidad. So it's like, you know, there's...
No, I was laughing because we're looking up flights to Trinidad, and we just see the flights, them like $1,000.
Why don't you guys come with me? Sunday?
No. $1,500 for one flight. Not how US. No, that's
my flight was like $200.
When you book?
US.
When you book?
Last week.
Really?
Caribbean Airlines, Sunday.
What? I was looking.
There's also a cruise, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
There's also a swim.
Expensive.
A cruise that leaves from Barbados, that carry you there and
Oh, and it's like one thing.
Yeah, it's a vibes.
It was expensive.
Epic.
But when you messaged me, you did message me and said that there's a lot to learn from Soca.
Yeah.
So apart from what you've already gone into, what else is there that we could learn?
I mean, I think it's hard to figure out how it can exist in its way here, because again, the space is built around live, right? So I'm not sure exactly how that would be replicated. But we need to build our live music scene in Jamaica. The live music scene.
So is it different in Soca? Like, where is there like it's spaces for? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, because you have to be able to perform with a band live in person. Like, you're not going and pulling up with a track show or doing this, that. Like, you have to be able to perform, and that's what everyone is excited to see. And so, like, it's built into the way these artists are growing. It's like, that's why, like, Kess can go to New York or Miami or Toronto and sell like thousands and thousands of tickets, because that worldwide diaspora of Trinis and of people who are Soca fans are in all these other places in the world too now, but they still associate that whole season. So, you know, I think it's just like figuring out how to, you know, I mean, I think February and Reggae Month and this whole thing is a great kind of thing that exists, and that it's obviously different, but it's something there. But I do think it's just about scenes, and it's about people collaborating, and it not being, oh, I'm this person versus this person, but it's about like everybody's working together, rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing, you know?
So that's what we don't get. we really are, as Steve said, like grabbing the bar. Like, it's very...
Who's Steve?
Yeah, random
guy over there.
Random brother.
Random guy off mic.
Like, it really is adversarial and grabbing a bar. Like, we, you know, when one person do well, like, oh, obviously that means I'm not doing well. That's really the vibe here.
And I think, you know, I think there's also a lot that the core dancehall scene from here that people from other markets can learn from too. Like, undoubtedly, like, there is something here where, like, you work a record on the streets. Like you work a record with the DJs, like you're getting it out. Like there is a grind to like creating a hit record. So let's not discount this. Like, I think it's just, we're just talking about, how different things can grow and different like that. But like, if we're going to get really down and dirty with it, like it's a grind, but is it effective? And are there other effective means and methods to achieving that hit? I guess that's the question, really. I think it's interesting when you look at, if you pull up something like the Apple Music, to me is an interesting place to look at charts, because it's one of the only streaming platforms where you can actually see streaming charts. So you can pull up and say, yo, Apple Music, singles, reggae, and it'll show you the top 100, 200, and it's just an understanding of how much each song is streaming in the past day or two, and Apple Music is used around the world, right? So it's a really good indicator of, I think, what people are listening to worldwide. And if you look at those songs, and this is, I think, a really interesting thing people could do, you pull up that chart and you say, okay, how many of these songs came out in the past 3 years, right? 4 years. What do those songs have in common? And that's how you can get a sense of what's working and what's not working in terms of globally, And I brought up the Dexadap's "Call Me If" thing, because that's a record that has a single that was working on, it is working and was on those charts. Or an artist who might not be as popular in Jamaica but is in the US and in the UK and other places, dancehall wise, Cranium, right? Like Cranium, Gal Policy. I sound ridiculous saying that word. Yeah. GYA. I knew it was gonna come out. I literally was like, all right, let me think of a different song. You know what I mean? But like, we can. Yeah. But that was this really huge record. Similarly on those charts, whatever. They're working those records. Like that team. Shout out to Pee Wee. Shout out Pee Wee. Shout out to Pierre. Like, they're not relying on somebody else. Like they're going in and they're getting the song to the DJs who are going to be DJing every single street party in Brooklyn, in here, in there. Like there's a real method to what they're doing. Taking a break out of this podcast to big up our sponsors, Itopia Life Herbals, where cannabis and culture combined for a one-of-a-kind experience. You can visit them at 10 West Kings House Road, just across from the Canadian Embassy. Also, you can follow them on Instagram at Itopia Life or visit their webpage at itopialife.com for the latest info on strains and merch. Right now, I want to take the time to big up our new sponsor, Self Care Friday. Yes, the skin is the largest organ of the body, and whatever is applied is absorbed by the body, thus into the bloodstream. Did you know this, Sarah? Okay. Therefore, it is important that we're mindful of what we use on our body, and this is where Self Care Friday comes in. They take away the hassle of you having to worry about what goes on your skin, as their products are safe and sustainable. They're handmade with natural source ingredients from the earth. You see me? Their nourishing products range from organic, natural, and vegan, as they are cruelty-free. Love your skin, and your skin will love you back. True. Give your skin sanctum and choose Self-Care Friday. And let's make every day Friday. Yay. You can use the code FIX15 and get 15% off all purchases. That's the FIX15 and get 15% off all purchases. Follow them on Instagram and TikTok at Self-Care Friday, and visit their website at www.selfcarefriday.com. And so I think it's about that's the local method too. Yeah. No, it's continuing saying. Well, now I just got to think about what other words should I attempt to say and sound like a moron. Let me ask a question though. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about streaming? Can you speak about that? You can't make money from it. And that we should go back to the days where we were selling CDs and I wish we were doing this. Like, no. First of all, I didn't grow up with buying CDs or this and that. I grew up with iTunes. YouTube and iTunes. LimeWire. No, you grew up with LimeWire. LimeWire was a thing, but not Napster either. Yeah, the Napster kind of thing. So it's to me it was iTunes, and then it was into streaming. So I don't have any romanticization I wish we were selling all these records and this or that. It's what people don't realize about streaming is if you go on iTunes and buy an album today for $10, and then you listen to that album tens of thousands of times, 100,000 times, and you just keep listening to it over and over again, that artist is never monetizing it again besides that initial buy. With streaming, sure, each time you press play, it's not paying them that much, but they're monetizing it forever. And the discovery process and the monetization process are one and the same. So you discover the song on YouTube or on Apple or on Spotify or on Pandora or wherever, And the second you discover it, you're streaming it and they're making money. So the idea that you can grow a catalog of music that you own, that you can make money off of every month, and then you can go out and make those best touring decisions and make the best decisions for your life and not have to play 50 or 100 shows a year when you're 60 years old. You know what I mean? Like you can make these decisions, and streaming has allowed us to get to a place where you can reach people without being reliant on the middleman and without being reliant on a huge budget. You can growth hack things, you know, you can grow audiences. I'll go back to your podcast because again, it's a perfect example. Like a podcast like yours, if this was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it's like, you got to get a deal with a cable station and this, and then they're going to tell you got to say this. You don't want to say this because it's going to piss off this advertiser or whatever. It's like independent media right now is growing because of these things that exist. And streaming to me is that. Like streaming is really a good thing. We
can use, people hate when I use it, American version, but like NBA Youngboy, apparently he is not radio friendly at all. His thing don't play on radio, but he's the biggest thing on the streaming platforms because his, as you said, core audience, and he's not hit reliant, and it's all there supporting him through streaming. So that's the benefit of it.
He's and consistently just giving out product to his client base that they want to consume.
Which is the songs, right?
A crazy amount of content. Like, he released like 12 albums. I mean, some crazy number of albums, and I don't,
Sizzler.
you know, like you have to keep. And I think there is this volume. I think this is another kind of issue, and something that's interesting is the volume game versus not. And
because as a president, like, how would you tell your artists? Because we in Jamaica sometimes we complain like, oh, people are kill them songs, and then would have put out one song this week, and then next week is our next song and whatever. But some artists like have one song and then push it for the entire year. Like, does that work? Like, how can you?
I think it depends on where you are in your career and what you're trying to do. So if you're early on and you don't have like a real fan base necessarily yet, you do want to be releasing super consistently. Every single week, probably a bit much. A little bit less than that, you want to be releasing consistently. Do you want to go out there and spend a ton of money on every single music video and drop a song every other week? Absolutely not. You should be dropping consistently, often, quality, maybe have some sort of visualize or something for it, see what's working, and then invest in that thing. But you don't know what people want from you yet. If you're a new artist, like you gotta test the waters and see what people want, and then double down on that thing. And don't think that you need to start off with this huge music video and this and that in order for that song to have its potential. See what's getting the best response, and then make that video. And I think once you get to a different level, then it makes sense maybe to space out those releases more, to have to drive all your attention to one place. You don't want, if you split attention, if you drop a song this week and a song the next week, and your biggest fans, half of them are going here, half of them are going there, it doesn't give that song the potential to get as much streams as possible and exist further in the algorithm. So you want to push, and going back to the Cranium example is right on that point too. They push singles for a long time. And you work them. And I think what people do way too often is give up on songs early, because
I think so.
Like songs, what do you mean? Like how long you think? How long is it good? What is the right amount of time before you give up on a song?
Think about a lot of the biggest dancehall records that I hate the term, crossed over, right? Like Hold Ya, Egyptian, that was out for a long time before it came back around for the summer. Party Animal, Charlie Black. Then they did the Daddy Yankee remix, boom boom, in the Latin community, right? Right.
Yeah, Cheerleader was out for like 3 years before it.
So everyone wants to, give up on something, but like we have to think about seasons. Like, yes, this music does do better in the summer, so let's come around again. All right, you know what? It's gonna dip down. Monthly listeners on Spotify and on other platforms, like you dip. Like Christmas is like everybody's lowest streaming day, unless you're Mariah Carey, and then like July is the top, And I think it's like that's the kind of interesting thing of it all.
Just combine when we are together, like lyrics from my heart will last forever. I would have swear, but no, never expected love.
Got chatting, pussy good, me jealous over everything. Me don't need that from your put it on me skin to skin. Heart race, you a boot up me adrenaline. Treat you like a queen, me and your psycho king. Me take a banana boat if you go foreign. You can't make your left hand, me not try a thing. Now your bank account they are minus. Plus, when them play money, play the chorus. Dog talent don't work, they don't care. You want bus, you have to pay your bus fare. Cause them want money, DJ want money, radio show and podcast want money.